Everyone. Nowadays, it's very common to see celebrities go through drug abuse, being in a constant cycle of controversies, with occasional statements by them saying they plan on getting better and going to rehab. Most of the time, it doesn't go through, and this happens the most commonly with people who are notorious for being rebellious or aggressive, which is what leads to them falling to drugs, like Bam Margera. But one celebrity story that I heard about recently that I found really interesting was Amanda Bynes, who during her peak was seen as a kind of like a golden child that did nothing wrong, but over her career, her secret drug use became apparent and got so bad that she became a complete opposite of her former self. So in this video, I watched through the history of her story and the constant up and downs of her trying to stay sober.
When Amanda Bynes quit acting at the age of 24, her $6 million net worth implied that she'd have a low-stress, problem-free future. Instead, through addiction, mental hospitals, jail time, unfavorable articles, evictions, and the alienation of everybody close to her, she'd show that the universal dream of early retirement is actually a living hell. The announcement first came on the 22nd of June 2010, and just 6 months prior, Amanda was looking incredible. She was described as one of the funniest and most promising performers of her generation, often being cast as a kind, wholesome young adult, which seemed to reflect exactly who she was off camera. In a 2007 interview, it was highlighted that she'd almost never been in trouble.
You haven't been to jail?
Nope.
No jail?
Ooh, that's nice foreshadowing. Ooh.
Amanda Bynes, what kind of a starlet are you?
I know, what's wrong with me?
The reason for which being that she valued career longevity.
I just have my eye on the prize, which for me is a long career, and I don't want to blow what I've worked so hard.
I was really hoping she would say, I have my eyes on the prize, money. Oh, that would have been so good.
Before the interview ended, she'd add that she wasn't attracted to any kind of partying.
I'm not interested in that. You know, the club scene and drinking doesn't appeal to me, so it's actually easier for me not to do it.
However, it seemed Amanda was telling a naughty little fib.
Exactly. It does feel like she's like boosting her ego, be like, oh, I don't like partying, I like to focus on my work.
They called Adderall the new skinny pill, and they were talking about how women were taking it to stay thin. I was like, well, I have to get my hands on that, before stating I started smoking marijuana when I was 16, even though everyone thought I was the good girl. Her usage was then exacerbated by the failure of her side business in 2009, after which she was losing high-profile movie roles for getting too cooked whilst on set. When I was doing Hall Pass, I remember being in the trailer, and I used to chew the Adderall tablets because I thought they made me more high that way. It was the mixture of being so high that I couldn't remember my lines and not liking my appearance that prompted Bynes to pull out of the film. After removing herself from Hall Pass, Amanda starred in one final movie, Easy A, the premiere of which becoming the straw that broke the camel's back. Bynes recalls attending a screening of her last film, Easy A, and having a different reaction than everyone else to the movie. I literally couldn't stand my appearance in that movie, and I didn't like my performance. I was absolutely convinced I needed to stop acting after seeing it.
I'm guessing by that she had like some kind of like body dysmorphia, which is awful. Like having body dysmorphia, especially people who are really fit and have body dysmorphia, is one of the most awful things. Because yeah, they would just like starve themselves. I'm sure later in the video there'll be like proof of like her starving herself. But yeah, she also took like Adderall, which you know is horrible. But I've never really seen into like the extent of like how she did it, where she saw herself in a movie and couldn't stand it, where everyone else didn't see it as an issue, which is like the most mind-blowing thing about the body dysmorphia. It really does just make you see yourself so much differently than everyone else.
Amanda announced her retirement in 4 spontaneous tweets reading, "Being an actress isn't as fun as it may seem. If I don't love something anymore, I stop doing it. I don't love acting anymore, so I've stopped doing it. I know 24 is a young age to retire, but you heard it here first, I've #retired, although with an unresolved..."
That's kind of scary because they all came out on the same day at a short time span.
"I just had no purpose in life. I'd been working my whole life and now I was doing nothing." She continues, "I had a lot of time on my hands and I would wake and bake and literally be stoned all day long." Around this time, Amanda said she started hanging out with a seedier crowd and I isolated a lot. "I got really into my drug usage and it became a really dark, sad world for me." It was with this seedier crowd that Amanda began to frequent nightclubs, eventually leading to her first of many mugshots. She'd been arrested for sideswiping a police car, hit and run, and driving under the influence, which she'd attempt to solve not through the court system, but rather by tweeting at the president. "Hey Barack Obama, I don't drink. Please fire the cop who arrested me. I also don't hit and run at the end," although the post was met with silence.
She must have like made that tweet while high. There's no way you can actually believe the president or Barack Obama at the time would actually come to your defense of you having a DUI. Even if he did, you know, hypothetically come to the court to defend you, how can you defend against that? I'm sure every police officer has to like take like a breathalyzer test on you, and how do you disprove that? I'm pretty sure I've heard like rare cases. I mean, clearly I'm not defending her, but I think I've seen rare cases where someone drinks like some like substance that isn't alcoholic, but it has small traces of it, like mouthwash probably, I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure in the case, yeah, if she was a nightclub, there is no way to defend against that.
Despite the unfavorable press, Amanda continued to party in the public spotlight, even claiming in a People magazine interview that she was doing amazing while adding, "I'm not talking about being arrested for DUI because I don't drink, and I don't drink and drive. It is all false." Although according to others around her, Amanda was completely delusional. People around Amanda are really concerned about her, a source tells People. She tells People she doesn't party or drink, she doesn't realize she has a problem, which is followed by some rock-solid evidence confirming this. Just 2 days after claiming that she was doing amazing, Amanda was dropped by her agent, publicist, and lawyer, with an article stating all three people are telling similar stories. Bynes was a dream client for years, but she became
that's always like the worst sign possible. Either they like quit or she fired them, which is just a sign of her like slowly having a mental breakdown.
To cut bait, acknowledging they can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. Clearly fed up by her portrayal in the tabloids, Amanda found herself—
I just want to check real quick, because so far, yeah, it's 4 minutes in of like a near 11-minute long video. And so far, with stories like these, I expect, or most people expect it to be like a good start and then slowly devolve into like their current position in life. But first quarter of this video is just her life taking like a huge turn down.
With the paparazzi, as well as in verbal altercations with other high-profile celebrities. For example, she'd make a tweet reading, "At Rihanna, you look so ugly trying to be white," who'd then respond by stating, "Yeah, see what happens when they cancel intervention?" Amanda then responded to this by stating, "At Rihanna, unlike your fugly face self, I don't do drugs. You need the intervention, dog. I met your ugly face in person, you aren't pretty, you know it." In a different tweet, Amanda simply wrote, "At Miley Cyrus, you're ugly," who take the more mature approach by responding with, "I won't even entertain that thought. I was rooting for her comeback until she started attacking me," with Amanda's callouts being pretty clear projections, as she wasn't looking so great herself. Not even 3 years after retiring, she'd post this video to her Twitter with the caption, "I'm sucking on a Sour Patch Kid listening to music getting ready for tonight," prompting concern from her now declining fan base. She is seriously such a pretty girl. It's so sad seeing her like this. Something is definitely not right. She needs some help and someone or a few people to sit her down and get her back on straight. Although with no clear desire to pursue anything meaningful, Amanda's situation had no hope of improving. In that very same month, Amanda Bynes was allegedly kicked out of a New York gymnastics class for showing up in an outfit comprised of fishnets, a wig, and a lingerie-like leotard. Of course, she denies it.
That is somewhat depressing, because, of her mental state, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
What would you do if you found fake stories about you, making it difficult to ascertain what had actually happened? The article came along.
Okay, no, so I have to read that real quick. I want to see that video in a second. What would you do if you found fake stories? First, how old is this woman at this point for her to be saying used with just the letter? And yeah, I think it's another stage of being delusional to say that people are making up stories about you. If the 20 people in that class wasn't enough, I'm sure there could have been cameras around that gym on the outside that could have actually proved that she came out in that outfit. Which, at this point, I'm really struggling to tell which parts of her story is her being high and which parts are just being like, you're just fucked mentally. Because there's no way you can be this high this often. She might have been, but so far there hasn't been a one good single aspect she has had. And the only good possible thing that could have happened was intervention, and he's brought up twice that like it was cancelled,
making it difficult to ascertain what had actually happened. The article came alongside a different video of Amanda dancing uncontrollably on a treadmill and another video of her doing a similar dance while walking around New York City without any shoes on. 3 weeks later, she'd give a rare interview with In Touch magazine stating, "I have no clue why people say I'm insane. Every time I've heard it, it came from an ugly person's mouth, so I don't care."
But this is what I mean. Even in interviews, she acts like delusional. So is she just high, or is she just that far off the deep end? I really don't know.
I don't drink, I'm allergic to alcohol.
I'm allergic to what?
She doesn't smoke pot, which was followed by Amanda being evicted only 1 month later for smoking pot in the lobby of her building. As a result, she'd make her way over to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, where she'd bring the receptionist to tears by telling the worker she was too ugly to check binds in. After a 9-day stay in the building, Amanda was kicked out for removing smoke detectors, which accompanied other photos of the messy state the room had been left in. In the process,
I feel so bad for the room cleaners, because Christ, that looks like fucking shit. I mean, that was just a picture of the bathroom, but I'm sure everywhere else in the room was just disgusting. But so far, it seems like see her like somewhat slight body dysmorphia, and it wasn't exactly pretty major for her to like quit her acting career. And now it seems to like evolve into her making fun of other people for being ugly, which I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm pretty sure it is like a coping mechanism because of like how like you feel about yourself, which is why she frequently brings up other people being ugly, because you know, she might feel like self-conscious about herself, especially because, you know, if you quit an acting career that young, and because of like the way you feel about yourself, I'm sure that has like a huge effect on your mental state.
$9,000 hotel bill, which likely contributed to the $1.4 million she'd reportedly spent in only a couple of months. Amanda apparently withdrew $100,000 from her bank on June 4 and a further $100,000 on July 2nd, showing that she was spending about $100,000 every 30 days. Contributing to this was one single taxi ride from New York to Los Angeles, which she used as an alternative to flying, given airports didn't accept Google as a form of identification.
That taxi driver, I feel so bad for him, but he must have made so much fucking money to drive through the entire of the US. Jesus Christ.
Once back in Los Angeles, she'd pour petrol on a random person's driveway before setting it on fire. In the process, she'd accidentally spill some of the petrol on her dog, prompting her to take it to a nearby convenience store for a wash, where she'd be kicked out by the owner for walking into the back without permission. The bizarre evening led to her first stint in a mental hospital, after which she'd attempt to fix her life by going to rehab, reconciling with her family, and rediscovering purpose by enrolling in fashion school. To signify her fresh new start, Amanda had some of her tattoos lasered, which accompanied a series of tweets implying that things were back to normal. That would be until 5 months later, when she was once again arrested for driving under the influence. That very same month, Amanda was kicked out of fashion school for showing up high and causing quote horrendous arguments. 4 weeks later, Amanda made another absolutely insane tweet, claiming that she'd been microchipped by her parents before
there's like a huge border in between like people where you're either like mentally sane or you believe in like microchips. I have no idea where like, this huge theory came from, but it just makes no sense to me because it is just fueled by like a schizophrenic fear that someone is like controlling you or someone's like keeping an eye on you. Why would you believe that? And then it's just like a sign of like having like way worse issues.
She was now engaged to a 19-year-old who she'd met in a fishing shop.
I've paused this video like 3 times to talk about something, and every time I don't pause it, there's like this new fucking like random story that I feel like I have no context to.
Reported that Amanda was seen heading into a West Hollywood tattoo parlor to have her fiance's face inked on her neck. Apparently she was turned away for not having proper identification, and this might have been for the better given she was also recorded getting overly touchy with a random security guard at around the same time. However, it seemed this would also become a turning point as the negative press completely vanished overnight. There weren't any new Amanda updates for well over a year until this article was posted simply confirming that she was back in fashion school. With a new challenge and goal to work towards, Amanda was able to stay sober for 3 whole years, returning to the public spotlight with a brand new interview. She'd state that things were going well.
I've been going to school lately, fashion school, FITM.
How much are we out of this video? This might be an actual good like comeback.
Something surprising to tell you, I'm going to start acting again.
Yes!
This would come alongside a tell-all interview with Paper Magazine, in which she'd confirmed that she was now 4 years sober, with the article stating that
might actually be getting better.
Fill the hole that acting had left. Fashion. So when she'd celebrate her fashion school graduation
who the fuck is that?
Later, it was also a point of concern. Amanda had overcome her challenge, achieved her goal, but was back to a state of idleness. Not even 6 months after graduating, Amanda had returned to rehab, where she'd post selfies of her new home job looking face tattoos, as well as meet her new boyfriend, who she'd get engaged to only 8 weeks later. Given the two met while in rehab, it seemed they helped each other stay sober, although after a rocky 3-year relationship, it eventually came to an end. In the days that followed their breakup, Amanda was recorded by a fan in this video.
Amanda, say what's up. What's up?
I was just gonna say the N-word. Just gonna say it.
I saw my girl walking, so I said I had to say what's up.
Which was posted to TikTok where it received over 15 million views.
I really
and
felt like
comments such as,
I really felt like that was gonna be her like really racist.
Man, it breaks my heart to see how they destroyed Amanda Bynes, the sweetest girl ever. It took me so long to realize that this was Amanda Bynes. I'm so sad now. Girl, what? That's Amanda Bynes? My heart goes out to her. Hope she's getting well. However, the worst was still yet to come. On the very same day that the TikTok was posted, Amanda was found roaming the streets of Los Angeles naked, resulting in her return to a psychiatric facility. Just 2 months after this, a new article was published titled "Amanda Bynes is sad and isolated after being released from mental health facility as she has lost interest in her passions while living alone," which was followed by another psychiatric hold just 3 months after her previous one. More optimistically, however, it was shown in September 2023 that Amanda was making an effort to remove her face tattoos, which you could argue is at least a step in the right direction.
I think there's a lot of stories where like they have like a rise from being nothing to being really popular and then having like a downfall, or like, you know, getting into drugs like how she did. But I actually believe, because the video was almost over, when around 8 minutes when he brought up like she was like 4 years sober and she was going back to acting, it really did look like it was gonna be good. But there were 2 parts of that story that were kind of like red flags. The first one being like she got like an apartment for herself and like the face tattoo, because any face tattoo is like a pretty bad sign of like your mental state. And what like he said about her being in a state of idleness after graduating, by her living by herself in an apartment was probably worse, because maybe she lived with like friends and family, or maybe her parents. She could have like had someone to like, keep her in check somewhat, so she wasn't like going back to her old self. But because she did have like, a new place where she didn't really like live with anyone else, it did allow her to kind of like be more lonely and then fall back to like old habits, which is just depressing. It's not that shocking because it is extremely hard to get rid of like old habits, especially when it's like related to drugs and you've been like in the acting industry, because the stress from that kind of career mixed in with like the comfort you get from using drugs, it is just lead to you getting worse and worse. I think the only I'm sure there were way more, but I think the best like person to bring up is like Robert Downey Jr. I mean, he probably has like the most incredible comeback from someone who's just like, yeah, just fuck with like his drug use. But I'm sure that was a case of him just being actually determined and having the help from the right people to get him back on track. And yeah, ever since then he's like an incredible actor, which just makes me sad, because I'm sure Amanda Bynes, even she had like her own fans. I mean, there was like comments in this video shown that they wish she could have like made an actual comeback into her being an actor. And I'm not sure she would have gotten the best roles possible, because most people who were really popular when they were a kid don't really do as well when they're adult. But I'm sure it would have been like a good career to be in, as opposed to other ones that would have like perpetuated her drug use. I mean, even though the fashion path would have been good, because I'm sure she could have actually made like a good business from that, or even worked with like one fashion house, which I'm sure a lot of people would like back her up and support her, because they want to see her get better. And even though I don't really know her that well, I'm sure for people who watched her ever since she had like her huge roles in earlier movies, I'm sure it is just heartbreaking to see where she is now. And even though there is a chance you could like come back from this, I think the chances are very slim. But you know, I still hope for like the best for her, because this entire video was pretty sad to watch. So all I can really hope for is you know, she gets better.
I'm about to murk, I say peace to the family. She hop up like, how you gonna leave before you dance with me? Dance with me.